Hola, folks. Welcome to the Tech Geek Podcast. I'm Sukriti Adavanshi, and I'm excited to bring you an episode on overcoming common public cloud challenges. The cloud market is expected to reach 1,251.9 billion by 2028, which will register 9.1% of the total in the forecast period. According to the market research, this growth can be attributed to several factors, including digital transformation across various industries, surge in the internet penetration, and big data consumption in various verticals. Increasing adoption of 5G, IoT, and artificial intelligence is also expected to further support the growth of the market in the cloud computing era. So, this increased adoption of cloud computing, however, comes with a certain set of challenges. In today's episode, we will discuss how to overcome these challenges with Parag Arora, Vice President and Managing Director, Southeast Asia, Korea, and India subcontinent from Citrix. Welcome to the show, Parag.
Thank you, Sukriti. I look forward to a conversation. It's an amazing topic we're talking today about.
Absolutely, Parag. And I would not want to waste any more time and get on to the questions that I have. So tell me, how significantly do you think the pandemic has accelerated the shift to public cloud?
I think in the last 18 months or 20 months, absolutely for businesses to remain agile and for them to continue driving their operations and business, it was super important for them to be able to make sure that their data and applications and security remains, working and available. And clearly, the one clear option which everybody had in enterprises was to see how they deploy more and more applications in the cloud. And again, from a user perspective as well, again, how quickly you can move employees or users working from office to start working from home or remote locations. Again, cloud and SaaS-based applications, they're critically important for them as well. So clearly, I think in general, as you mentioned earlier, that with digital transformation as an underlying kind of a requirement, and I think coupled with the change in the way we work, both from IT and business perspective in the last 18 months with COVID, I think the drive to cloud has become much more faster.
Agreed, Parag, and I think it has actually leveraged businesses to do a lot more innovations as well. Moving on with this, what are the challenges that business leaders had to face, especially the IT leaders, due to this transition that was happening?
Interesting question. I think there are two or three very important things, with the move to cloud, which comes. One, I think, one key one is, of course, security, right? It's so critical that, as enterprises are moving a lot of their workloads and applications in the cloud, and they're also kind of, really allowing their people to access cloud and SaaS-based applications. How does cybersecurity in generally become relevant in the new scheme of things? And I know that like the concepts like zero trust network, or ZTNA as it's called in this space, is so important for companies. So I think clearly security is by far, I would say, the biggest challenge and opportunity. I think the second one is, how does one really kind of keep up with the pace of innovation? Because again, from a technology perspective, with the advent of cloud and SaaS and the new age applications and AI and ML, I think there's so much of choice available now, for our CIOs and for enterprises to be able to deploy different things. So again, in my mind, the challenge is how to choose the best tools and solutions. I think that's again a very, very important aspect in terms of making the right choices. And the third, I think, would probably be, which is people. I think all this high-tech solutions from cloud and SaaS world, it requires a completely new way to work. And that does mean that for our customers, they need to have the right talent and skills, in their teams, and the right partners to work with them as well. So I think all of this definitely comes with a lot of challenges, but I think that's why probably a lot of us in this space are working right now in.
Okay, so you spoke about security being one of the major challenges, Parag, and how do you think the IT leaders were capable of identifying and overcoming these challenges in a different manner? Because I think this has been a concern across verticals, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. So I think one of the biggest shift is really, I think, Sukriti, is that the security was earlier a more a chief security officer agenda. I think right now what's really happening is security is becoming a much more broader conversation, and this is a boardroom conversation now, right? So clearly, the ownership to secure your employees, your assets, your IP is just not only with the CIO. So I think the one big help which is coming across in every company is I think it's becoming super serious as a topic, and I think the ownership of that is going more broad-based. So I think that's one important change happening. And other, I think the kind of tools available now, like, again, I think we all heard about this. The security in the past was, it's my perimeter. If I secure my perimeter, I'm secure. But now, given it's a more distributed kind of usage of your applications and users, I think, everybody's thinking, how do we have a more pervasive and more adaptive security solution available as well? So I think so two things at a high level, I think, which is really in my mind kind of helping deal with this in a better way. One is, I think, a broad ownership from executive perspective, and this becoming a very, very important conversation at the board level. And second is, I think the tools and the new solutions available, which really help companies to secure the more end-to-end, is really helping deal with this challenge.
So, Parag, a lot has been spoken about the need of robust IT strategies to overcome security problems, right? So, what are your suggestions here? What are the things that you would suggest to the business leaders?
I'm sorry, Sukriti, can you repeat the question for me?
Yes. A lot has been spoken about the need for robust IT strategies to overcome security problems. What are some of the suggestions that you can give here?
Very good question. So, I always say that, for any chief information officer or a chief digital officer, I think, if you go back to what we all read about the Maslow's pyramid, if you recall, right, as in where you have some basic needs and then you have, the needs of, self-actualization. In the same way, I look at Maslow's, from IT perspective. So clearly, the basis to run the operations to make sure that your business, whether you're a bank or you're a manufacturing firm or you're an e-commerce company, I think it's so important that the basics are in place, your operations have continuity. I think the first thing is, for IT leaders right now is to make sure that, they do have a very solid approach and operational plan to make sure that business continuity has no impact. I think once you fix that, I think that's where CIOs and digital officers can really start participating in, what I call as really being relevant to business and kind of really driving transformation approaches. So again, having the right amount of teams and the tools and the people to kind of help you kind of manage the operations so that you can really focus a lot on transformation and growth, and of course that also includes the whole aspect of cybersecurity as well.
Right. And what are some of the skill sets required to keep up with these evolving challenges related to cloud, Parag?
I think so. Clearly, again, there are 3 or 4 important skills. One, I think, of course, is the basic technical skills to be able to understand the new solutions and the new tools that are coming, both on-prem and on the cloud side. But I think the second one, which I really see is really about change management and, how does one really ensure that as you're adopting the newer solutions in the cloud, how do you make sure that you can make these changes and transformations to happen in a very agile way at the same time without really impacting your ongoing operations? So really, I think other than being technical skills, it also needs a lot of skills around change management. And I think the other aspect is, again, since now, like IT is about business, and so the ownership of, a lot of these IT changes are also along with the business stakeholders. So one more critical aspect, which I see is, that for the IT leaders to be really able to kind of have stakeholder alignment, across business, across the CHRO side, or or with the sales side. So really, so the CIOs have to start really broad basing their in the company so that there is a more broad level support and ownership, to drive some of these change in the business. So I think that's again very important for any CIO in this new era of cloud-based computing.
Okay, so can you shed some light on the kind of solutions and platforms that are available which help in seamless yet secure transition to cloud?
Yeah, so I think what's really happening right now is like pretty much every SaaS or cloud companies, and including what we do in our business, for example, we are really kind of creating what we call as hybrid solutions. And what that means is a hybrid solution basically allows companies to be able to kind of work in the traditional on-prem world, at the same time start working more seamlessly to move on the cloud. So I think one of the big thing is, for companies, I think it's important that when they look at the solutions, they do have the ones which can give them a more hybrid approach as they transition. And I think the second important thing is multi-cloud. Again, I think everybody is saying that that they would like to really diversify their investments on multi-cloud. And again, it's so important that the tools, whether it's around compute or around your app delivery or security or AI and ML, all of these tools should really be able to kind of scale across multiple clouds as well. So that you can really kind of build a more multi-cloud platform as you scale. So I think some of these things are basic tenets, but again, we can double click on technologies per se, but at a broad level, I think really being able to being hybrid and being multi-cloud, and of course, with the right element of security, which is more end to end. So this is a broad kind of framework, but of course, as you double click into individual solutions, or individual applications, I'm sure we can go to more nuances around what you need in those specific areas.
Well, this brings us to the end of our conversation, Parag. Thank you so much for being on the show with us. It's an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Sukriti.
Audience, thank you for listening to us. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. I will be back with another episode soon. Stay tuned to TechGig for all the latest tech updates and happenings.